Styling HTML forms with CSS timestamps are down below. When you're working with HTML form elements, you're going to be working within the form tag. There are actually 11 different form elements, and it may seem like a lot, but don't worry, you totally got this. By the end of this video, you're going to be a style master. Out of all the form elements, the input is the type that has the most types, actually 22. So we need to learn how to style those as well. I like to break up styling CSS forms into difficulty. Some elements are easy, some are mid, some are hard. Yes, don't worry. Again, we're going to break it all down. When it comes to selecting the actual elements in the CSS, like other HTML elements, you just grab it by its name and give it some styles. You will run into some challenges because there are limitations, which you will learn by the end of this video. When it comes to selecting specific input elements, you have a formula. You say input, brackets, inside the brackets, you say type equal, quotes, inside the quote, the type that you want to specifically style. The easy elements are easy to style because there's no real style limitations, just a couple of considerations. The form, you can treat it like a div, you can go ahead and style it up to your liking and desire. The Fieldset and Legend, which if you don't know, I'll show you. The Fieldset is going to be a group, it's going to be a container, and the legend is going to be the title. When it comes to styling these elements, it's pretty straightforward. The thing that's tricky is the legend. The legend is by default positioned to the left top of the Fieldset, but you can go ahead and move it by using your traditional CSS styling and positioning methods, specifically in respect to the box model. So just remember that if you want to move it around. When it comes to text inputs, you can style them freely, no real limitations there. This is an example before I added some input styles and after. Looks really nice, but look at that text area. The text area looks a little strange. You can go ahead and know that you can style it just like any other input, but want to consider the resize and the scroll. Do I want to allow my users to resize it, or do I want it to stay a specific height and width throughout the duration of their experience? When it comes to considerations, before you even start styling the form, there's three we need to talk about. The first is, do I want to reset the default browser form styles? As you know, HTML documents come with default CSS styles. Some of them are gorgeous, some of them are not. You have to decide for yourself if you can use them or not, especially when it comes to forms. You can either reset the default form styles, keep all the styles, or keep some and reset some here and there. This is how you reset the default styles. You just say appearance, none. Be sure to add WebKit and Mozilla if you need to do browser specific styling and put them before the appearance none general. This is without reset and with the reset, without the reset and with the reset. Very subtle differences, but differences indeed. And to take it to the next level, you can go ahead and change the background color, the border, padding, margin, and box sizing to really give it that fresh blank slate. Then you want to establish some uniform styles. Pretty simple to do. Just grab the elements that you need to be uniform and style them together and make sure they share it so that they look similar. When it comes to inheritance, some of your elements will inherit their parents' font size and font style. Some of them won't. Look out for that. And if you need to, make sure you specify that so your form continues to look good. Styling placeholders is just a matter of saying : placeholder styles. Styling label is just a matter of saying label and adding the styles to the label. This is our form. Now that we added the text area, reset placeholder and label styles, but look at the buttons at the bottom. They're not as gorgeous or button-tastic as we need them to be. Why? Well, we need to know the difference of the button tag versus the input type buttons. The input type buttons, there's 3 of them: button, submit, reset. You can really just style them like you would any other input or any other button. Of course, give them a cursor pointer. This is what they look like with styles. But you also want to make sure to add pseudo classes, which are going to actually be all over your form. You're going to want to add pseudo classes if you reset all of your browser settings and get them looking how you need them to look so that your site is accessible and efficient and user friendly. That brings us to our mid tier. We're going to start off with checkboxes and radio buttons. This is what our checkboxes and radio buttons look like. They have the default input styles and no other styles after that, so we got a lot of work to do. The first consideration is the type of radio and checkbox and making sure they have a height and width and a border so we can actually see them. You can even add a border radius to the radio to give it a nice round look. This is what ours look like before and after we add those updated styles. You also need to work on the check pseudo class. So when the element is checked, you want to make sure that the radio button has like a background color or some sort of check indicator, maybe a border, box shadow, or outline to give it that traditional radio button look. And you can also, for example, with the checkbox, use images by just saying, hey, this is the background and this is the background image, and then positioning it in relationship to the actual element. This is what ours looks like after we add those updated check states. Search inputs, these really aren't that difficult to style, but they're in the mid-level because you may or may not know that this input is going to behave very differently across different browsers. So if you want it to be uniform, make sure you give it an appearance none, a border radius, or whatever styles you want. And if you want, you can even add a background image to give it like a little magnifying glass for indicating search. And this is what ours looks like after we add the style. We have our range, those sliders. They're a little bit tricky, but they're a lot of fun. Start off by selecting the input type of range, giving it a background, height, padding, width, outline, and other elements to make it look how you need it to look. And this is what ours looks like. Now we want to go ahead and focus on looking at that little slider tracker, the thumb. To do that, you're going to have to be very specific about using WebKit or Mozilla. Then you can add the styles like you would styling other elements or box elements, giving it an image, whatever it is that you so desire and need. But go ahead, make sure you don't forget that WebKit and Mozilla tag as indicated on the screen. This is going to be our final range and before and after. Gorgeous. The hard elements. Basically, the hard elements are difficult to style because, well, they truly are difficult to style. They either need a third party or JavaScript to get them looking a certain way. So that's basically what all these are going to boil down to, but I'll try to talk about them a little bit. Color, dates, and times. You can style the input portion of the field, to the best of your ability, giving it background color, border, padding, things of that nature. But when it comes to the actual widget that pops up when you click on the buttons, yeah, you can't really style those, so good luck. This is an example of before we added specific styles to these input types and after. Very gorgeous. When it comes to the file input, that's going to be that button you click to upload files. You can't really change that button either, unfortunately, but there is a little hack that some people use to hide the button and use the label to replace the button. Very interesting. So you can actually see that for the file input. This is what that process would look like inside of your code, before and after. All right, progress meters are really difficult to tackle, so you're better off creating your own variation of a progress meter. And then that drop down, the select and data list. The data lists are pretty difficult, but the select, you're able to, in the data list as well, you're able to add some minimal customization. If you really want to customize these elements, you're going to want to use JavaScript, and there's a really awesome tutorial that I'm going to link down below if you want to tackle that. And by the end of adding the styles, you see this is what it looks like. And hey, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. Let me know what you would like to see next, and have a great day. See ya. Bye.